Steve came to me in April last year and he said, Lee, mate, listen, I want to close my business down in December of this year and move to Thailand, and I'm going to live off trading. I said, yeah? In 8 months, you're going to close your business and move to Thailand and live off trading? He said, yeah, 8 months. I said, okay, cool. How much have you learnt about trading so far? He says, Lee, I don't know anything, mate, and you're going to teach me.
Wow.
Leon Brown is a former investment banker turned entrepreneur and founder of Elevation FX,
where he empowers others to master trading and investing with precision.
From corporate success to financial education,
Leon's mission is helping individuals take control of their financial futures.
You talked about, traders making mistakes. What are some of the common mistakes traders make?
It depends on the mindset. So greedy traders will make mistakes of greed. Fearful traders will make mistakes of hesitation. Those that are gold diggers will just try to overtrade.
Want a mentor or a coach, trade, and then you get to see who you really are.
Listen, that's such a great way to think about it. Such a great way to think about it.
The Risk Champs Podcast.
Welcome, Leon, to the Risk Champs Podcast. Seriously, I've been waiting for this, and I'm glad that we're finally here to have some conversation on some serious risk business, man.
You can see the smile on my face. You can actually see the smile on my face, bro. So it's amazing to be here with you and your guests who are watching this podcast. It's just great privilege. We connected, it must be over a year ago.
It is, it is.
The spark was that we're both in that risk world, right? We're both in the risk world. So really, really great to be speaking with you.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for doing this. Now, before we go any further,
yes,
let our listeners and viewers know who you are. Who's Leon, man? Please take it away, man.
So, my name is Leon Brown. I am the owner, along with my son, believe it or not, of Elevation FX. We started this business in 2022, Chiz. And, using my background in investment banking, I've been really fortunate enough to work at two of the very best investment banks in the world. And using that background, I decided to start teaching people this wonderful world of both currency trading, investing, and really understanding how the markets move. So I've got a career in finance. I left the city of London in 2015 to pursue my entrepreneurial endeavors.
You did the right thing.
Well, it feels so at the moment. The first endeavor, as it happens, didn't work to plan. Some people call it a failure. I don't have a problem with the word failure. The first endeavor, which was a bespoke clothing company, it was going really, really well for a long time. And then I don't know if you heard about this thing that hit the world. It was massive. It came around in about 2020, and it's the COVID.
Oh, that thing.
You know that thing, that thing that
destabilized a lot of people and businesses, right. Man.
Exactly right.
Yes,
that killed my first entrepreneurial venture.
It's the C word, right?
The C word, yes.
Not the other C word.
That C word.
The C word of 2020.
Exactly, that 2020 C word, man.
Amazing.
So I really pivoted and went back to what I know and love, which was finance and trading. And since about 2021, I've just been teaching people this world of foreign exchange, currencies, cryptocurrencies, investing. It's all the same thing. Yeah. It's just a matter of speed, whether things happen quickly or slowly. So, that's my world right now. I'm
I know you said, educator. I love that. I know you gave a bit of intro. You can see I'm so excited. I can't even wait to get into this whole deep, side of things, because I come from a finance background as well.
Yes.
But share that journey. What made you make that switch from banking, investment banking for that matter? Lots of people try to get into investment banking, and you left investment banking, not just to go to another one, but to start up your own venture, your own endeavor, as you said.
I sometimes look back at this moment when I stuck my fingers up to employment and said, I'm going to do this on my own. And I sometimes wonder whether that was the right decision. I know in my heart it is the right decision, and it has been the right decision. But the journey, the funny thing is, if someone told me the journey, I probably wouldn't have done it. I'm glad that these decisions happen without knowing the whole journey, because it's been ups and downs, highs and lows. But the real reason why I made that decision, Chiz,
yes,
was because I had started to encounter that ceiling in industry, which was going to be very, very difficult to crack. I started to encounter the politics that you find as you start to go through the kind of the corporate ladder. And I had got really, really tired of working, 12 hours a day. And, my life was a series of getting. And what do I mean by that? I would get up before 6 o'clock to make sure that I was on the 6:01 train from Grange Park into Moorgate. And then I would get to the desk half asleep. I'd probably get a coffee by 7:30, get through the morning. I get to 9 o'clock and realize that, oh, I've suddenly just woken up, even though I've been working for the last 2 hours. I'd get to lunch, get something, get back at my desk, get through the afternoon with an espresso coffee, get home, get something to eat, get showered, get to bed, get up and do it all over again.
Routine.
It was a series of getting,
Yeah.
but not good getting, and I just had to stop it. For me, it just became I was on the wheel and I wanted to jump off, and that was the real truth of it. I think and believe that I'm doing better on my own than if I had been into that corporate ladder with all of the politics, and it wasn't for me.
Explain that a little bit more. Just dive a little bit deeper into that. You feel you're doing better than when you were working in under someone else's umbrella. Explain that a bit more.
So, how I judge my wealth right now? I judge my wealth by the amount of time freedom that I have right now. It's really important for me, and it's a revelation I've kind of hit me over the last few months. I've been able to travel this year a lot, run my business a lot, and the whole idea of me putting my effort into somebody else's venture, it just wore me down. And it's fine for some people. I don't really want to disparage anybody who's working conscientiously in a 9 to 5 job. I think that's hugely respectful. Just in my own journey, I found it very tiring building somebody else's venture, answering to someone else. And cheers, I mean, listen, we've got time. The good thing is we're not in a rush.
Absolutely.
I remember the day when I was subject to a redundancy package at Societe Generale, which was the final bank that I worked for. And the manager, who I still talk to now, we've had a long relationship through the industry, so it's somebody I still talk to now. And he was my manager at the time, and he called me into a room, sat me down, and said, "Leon, I've got some news for you." He said, "Do you know that trip to Stockholm that you're meant to be going on tomorrow to see those clients?" He says, "Don't go." He says, "The company just got bought out last year. There's been some adjustments, and we have to make some redundancies, and your job's come up for redundancy. So what I need you to do is to go back to your desk. I need you to pack everything that you can carry with you right now.
Right now.
Yes, pick up what you can carry, take it home, and we'll send the rest of the stuff to you. Have you got any?
No way.
Have you got any? Have you got? This was my friend. Yeah. And again, I don't have any animosity towards him because he was.
Well, no notice periods. It was just go pack your things, don't come back, and we'll send the rest to you.
Go pack your desk now. Pick up what you can carry, and we'll send the rest to you. You got 30 days to find another job within this company, and if you don't find another job within the company, then we'll offer you a redundancy package. And of course, it's just a process, right?
Yeah. How did that feel at that point in time? Do you remember?
I remember very clearly, very, very clearly. That feeling got burnt into me, and it was two prongs. And it was the culmination to answer your question. It was the reason why I wanted to get out, because I knew I was subject to somebody's whims. Somebody could just take control of my life at any moment in time, and it was the reason why I wanted to get out. But equally, to answer how did it feel, I was angry, just angry, hugely angry, even though I wanted to get out.
Yes.
I had my. I think we were speaking before. I told you. I said it here. My first venture was a clothing company, a bespoke clothing company.
Yes.
And that venture didn't work, and that was up and running while I was doing my full-time job. So I wanted to explore what it would be like to run that company full-time. But equally, when somebody else made that decision about the timing of when it was completely out of my control. It's like, go now, go now. Cheers. You've got to understand, in the investment banks, that's how it works.
Yes.
For me, I was fortunate in that I didn't have security standing over my desk. I've seen it over and over and over and over again. where depending on your
Your
level of
position.
clearance on the position, they'll actually have security standing with you over your desk to make sure you literally cannot touch the keyboard again after that moment. In fact, by the time I went into the room, by the time I left my desk, went into the room to have the conversation with my manager at the time, and got back to my desk, all of my access had been shut. All of my access has been shut down. He said, your email has been disabled. I think it was BlackBerry at the time.
Yes.
Your BlackBerry has been turned off. Your company card has been stopped now. He said, and your access pass. I remember this phrase. He said, it will let you out of the building one more time, but it will never let you back
You
in.
can come back in.
Yeah, right. So he said, go back to your desk and pack what you can, and we'll send the rest to you. And one part of me was relieved because I'm like, okay, I get to do my venture. I get to try and live life on my own. But the other part of me that I remember the most was somebody else took control of my life, and I never want that to happen again.
Wow. That was I'll probably say that was probably for most people it would be debilitating to go through that, but for you it was an inspiration, which brings me on to elevation effects.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. So why elevation effects?
Um,
Why trading?
oh man, cheers. You know what? Trading is wonderful. It really. I've got a few screens here, so I've got one chart that I'm looking at even while we're speaking.
Yeah. You know what? Let's do something fun.
Yeah.
I want to show your skills. I'm going to put a chart on screen
Okay. Yeah.
and
Do
let
that.
our viewers know what we're looking at here. So
Okay.
let's dive into
You-
trading 101 right
Okay.
now.
All right. All right. You're gonna test my teaching skills right out the gate.
Yes, yes. So while I'm doing that, just talk briefly about elevation effects while I bring up the screen.
Yeah, so Elevation Effects is a financial education company, and we aim to teach people the true skills of investing and trading in the manner that the banks trade. So the banks really have control of the markets, and to some degree, and to a large degree, the markets are manipulated by those who have the largest and the deepest pockets, which are the investment institutions, the government organizations. And so all we do is we've understood the algorithm that sits behind how the charts move, and we can see where the banks position themselves based on the candles. And so because of that, we're able to position ourselves alongside the banks who really are the ones that move the market. So consider us as teaching a way to sit in the slipstream of the large investment banks. Oh, look,
Fantastic. Can you see the screen?
I can see it very, very well.
Okay, I'm hoping that our viewers can see the screen as well. What are we looking at?
Oh my goodness, we are looking at a beautiful chart of euro dollar, which is euro as traded as in eurozone countries currency traded against the United States dollar.
That's the first one there. I think for most people, I know you said candles.
Yes.
Now, when I did a bit of, I tried it a little bit in the past.
Yes.
And I kept being told candles on the chart. What are these candles?
Oh wow, it's amazing. Such an amazing question. Can you zoom in at all, Chiz?
Yes.
And choose any candle. Man, you
Okay,
got me on. You really got me straight on what I love to do.
Straight on, yes. Okay.
So even
Is that
while you're
bigger?
doing that, I can explain what candles are. There are 5 pieces of information in every single candle. And now Japanese candlesticks was originated out of Japan, and it was used at the start by rice traders to kind of measure how much they were reaping, selling, how much they were sowing. It was a measurement used by rice traders way back in the day, and this became popular. People
Where
say,
is that on the chart here?
sorry.
Where is the candle? What do we refer as to candles on the chart that we're looking at?
Okay, so on the chart, you can see probably 100 candles right now. So each one of those green and red things that you can see, there's lots of them. Some of them are green and some of them are red.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, each one of those is a candle in and of its own right. So you can probably see, I don't know, maybe 200 candles on the screen right now,
Yes.
starting all the way from the left of the screen and all the way to the right. Starts with a very small green one on the left-hand side and
Yeah.
ends with where the price is now on the right-hand side with another green one. But in between those 2 green candles, there are red candles as well.
What are they telling us?
Well, in each candle, there's 5 pieces of information. Number one is where the price opened on this particular time frame. Now, if you look up in the top left-hand corner of your screen,
Yes.
you can see where it says euro against the dollar.
Yes. Yes.
And then next to euro against the dollar, you've got a number 5, and then you've got a number 15,
Yeah.
and then you've got a number 1H. I don't know. Can you see that in the top left
Yes.
of your?
Yes. The cursor just on it.
So right now you've got 15 selected, and that 15 says that you're looking at a 15-minute time frame. Every single candle represents 15 minutes worth of time. And in that 15 minutes, you get the opening price, where the candle opened. You get the closing price, as in where the candle closed at the end of that 15 minutes. You get the overall direction of whether that candle in that 15-minute time period went up or went down. And you get the highest price of that candle and the lowest price of that candle. So there's 5 very important pieces of info. That's why they're so clever, because in one diagrammatic kind of, in one diagram, you get 5 important pieces of information: the overall direction, the opening price, the closing price, the highest price, and the lowest price in every single candle.
We're not going to go into any more details. I think we've given the listeners and viewers a lot already just by showing and giving this insight. But I want to take you through some questions.
Please.
So if you guys want to learn more, just stick through this podcast and then find out more about what Leon is going to share
Absolutely.
on this podcast. So no, thank you for doing that. I put you on the spot there.
It's no problem. I mean,
I'm really on the spot there.
It's exactly what I do all day, every day. Which is
no, thank you for that. Thank you for that. No, thank you for that.
No problem at all.
Yeah. So now, how do you help your students learn how to trade and to trade safely? Because a lot of people do go into trading without knowing much about it, and they trade and they lose money, and sometimes it might be the end of it. They never touch it again.
Yes, yes.
What do you teach students actually?
So that brings us very neatly into the name of your wonderful podcast and why we connected. So I don't know, it was just a very kind of natural connection.
It was.
The key thing here for traders is there is a system. There is a way that the candles, which you just showed us on the screen, there is a way that they all work together. The market is systematic and organized. And once you understand that system and that organization, then we're able to take advantage of it. But the reason why the majority of people lose money is because they don't understand risk. And this is huge. They don't understand money management and risk management.
Please go deeper into that, which is that, like you said, this is the whole idea of this podcast, to help people know how to take risk so they can achieve whatever it is they want out of life or business.
Absolutely, cheers. So a big part of what we teach is, as well as understanding how the candles move, how they're related to one another, how to take advantage of the movement of those candles, we teach all of that. But one of the most significant things that we want our students to understand is that doing this with the right risk parameters increases the long-term likelihood of your success. It's really, really, really important.
Can you give an example of what these risk parameters are?
Cheers. You know what's even better? I came prepared with a diagram. How about that?
Oh, this is
me.
getting juicy. Who knew trading could be this exciting and fun?
I came with a diagram. Should I share it? Should I share the screen?
Yes, please share it.
Let me share the screen.
Yes, please.
Can you see
Yes.
what I shared? All right, lovely.
Yes.
So what I'm sharing here is it's a simple diagram to help highlight how we direct our students to trade. Now, it might have been easier if we'd added one more here and had a 5 trade sequence. But what we've got is trade number 1. And I want you to imagine that all of these trades lose to start with. But what we're doing is we say to our students, only take a trade if you have assessed that the return for the risk will be 4 times the risk itself.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
So if you check in this first diagram here, in this first column over
Yes.
here on the left-hand side, we're going to take our pot, and that pot could be £1,000, it could be 5,000, it could be 100,000, it could be 500,000. The notional amount doesn't matter. But we're going to take a proportion of our pot, and we're going to risk 1% of it. We're going to risk 1% of that pot. But we're only going to risk that 1% if the perceived return is 4%.
4%.
Yeah. And there's ways that we do this, right? We study it. And sometimes you'll find a risk where it's a 1-to-1 risk to reward, or a 1% risk and a 2% reward. We walk away from those trades and we say,
I
I'll
was
keep
just
my,
going to say, if it's a 1-to-1, there's no point, making those trades.
there's no point. And we leave them. We walk away from them. They're not of any interest to us in the way that we teach. So even in this example here in trade number 2, you've got a 0.5% risk. And again, that 0.5% risk could be on £1,000, 5,000, 10,000, 100,000, 500,000. It doesn't matter. You've got a 0.5% of the whole account size is going to be risked, but only if the perceived reward is 4 times the risk itself. And again here, and again here.
Yeah.
Right. Now, where this becomes really kind of beautiful is that, let's just take, for example, that all of these trades lost. We lose 1%, and then we trade again and we lose a 0.5%. Oh my goodness, I'm 1.5% down on my account. Oh, goodness gracious me. I'm lost a 3rd trade in a row. Now I'm 2.25% down on my account. I've lost a 4th trade in a row. Now I'm 3.25% down on my account. Now let's just assume that on the 5th trade, you take 1% and this trade wins at a 4-to-1 risk to reward. Now, immediately, not only have you wiped out the losses of the previous 4 trades, but you're in a small amount of profit, 0.75% profit.
Better than nothing.
Better than nothing. So good risk management in our scenario means that trading at a 4-to-1 risk to reward means you could lose 7 trades in a row. In fact, you could lose 8 trades, and the final 2 trades would still put your account at break even or in slight profit, depending on how much risk you apply on each one. So we don't like to lose 8 trades in a row.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
And we don't often lose 8 trades. In fact, we very, very rarely lose 8 trades in a row. But this good risk management means that the equity curve is always moving in the right direction because you're trading at that 4-to-1 risk to reward.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm sure our viewers who are seeing or who have seen the chat you just shared would learn something from that. So out of the people, I mean, have you got any success stories? People love success stories of maybe someone who you've trained or someone who's done very well in trading. Is there something you can share with our listeners?
I would say for anybody that wants that social proof, I think you're right. Social proof is so important.
Yes.
So for anybody that wants that social proof, our website has a carousel of our Trustpilot reviews, and we're really grateful that all of our Trustpilot reviews so far are 5-star reviews.
Amazing.
So can I say the website, Chiz?
Yes. Absolutely. Feel free.
So elevationfx.net is our website, and you'll be able to see the carousel of 5-star Trustpilot reviews. But in terms of success stories, there are a few. I remember a guy, and he would laugh if he ever saw him. He's a small Romanian guy.
Yes.
He's about just a bit taller than a pint glass. Right? Yes. He came to me years ago before this business was even formalized into what it is now, when I was just doing this casually.
Yeah.
I want it from Romania. Leon, I want to learn how to trade. I want to learn how to trade. You show me this. This seemed like a good way to make money. Right? He's my good friend. He doesn't mind me taking a bit down.
Yes.
Like, he's my really, really good friend. His name is
That's good.
He went on to take lessons from me and then to do his own study and really dig down into this whole industry of trading and really develop himself. So much so that now he's actually running his own education company, very similar to Elevation FX, right? So he's doing it by himself. Teaching others and building a business by himself as following the start that I gave him, which I'm hugely humbled to be a part of his journey. We've got Steve, who came to me in April last year, April 2023. And he said, Steve's like from Essex. I think he's from Essex anyway. He says, Lee, mate, listen, I've heard you are the dog's. Yeah, I can't say it. I've heard you are the business, mate. I've heard you are the business. I want to close my business down in December of this year. That's December 2024, and move to Thailand. And I'm going to live off trading. I said, yeah, you are. Yeah. In 8 months, you're going to close your business and move to Thailand, live off trading. He said, yeah, 8 months. I said, okay, cool. How much have you learned about trading so far? He says, Lee, I don't know anything, mate, and you're going to teach me, right? So I took a big swallow, gulp.
Yeah.
Said, this is a challenge. The thing that I have to give Steve a huge amount of credit for, Chiz, is that he literally followed the syllabus and the process as we laid it out, step by step by step by step. Literally just followed all the exercises we gave him. He did them. All the assignments, he did it on time. He was there at every lesson. He did the homework. And listen, December 2024, he closed his business, bought his plane ticket to Thailand and flew on the 9th of January this year, 2024.
Wow.
And he's been living in Thailand and East Asia since then, living off trading.
Ever since. Wow. That is
Yeah,
amazing.
this is one of just a few. There are
Yes.
more, but those are two really, really good ones.
Amazing. Amazing. Now, you talked about, traders making mistakes. What are some of the common mistakes traders make?
It depends on the mindset. So greedy traders will make mistakes of greed.
Yeah.
Yes. Fearful traders will make mistakes of hesitation. Those that are gold diggers will just try to over trade. Those who are desperate will make decisions of revenge trading and
What's revenge trading? Never heard that before.
oh, revenge trading. It's something we all have to do once or twice and get it out of our system. Cheers. So eventually people are going to lose a trade. It will happen to every single trader, regardless of your level of ability. And continuously through your journey as a trader, you will always lose trades. It's just part of our journey, which is why we need risk management. But the danger is that after losing a trade and seeing that money leave your account and it's gone, you're like, no, I was right. And you go and you get your mouse and you start clicking buttons again to take revenge for the loss on the marketplace. And it can get bad. You might lose that again and no, I was right. And go and trade again. So yeah, revenge trading is a sign of it's the wrong mindset. It's the wrong mindset for trading.
Yeah, that's good. No, those are really valuable tips. I mean, you're getting. I mean, this is something I've not really. I wouldn't say I've done. I've traded. I've tried it out. I've sampled it, but I've never really put my heart in it. And I think one of the things that kind of puts me. I wouldn't say not put me off, but why I'm a bit hesitant is because I always have this notion that if I can control it, don't try to do it. Because I don't control the market. I don't know what's going on in the background and things like that. And there are people who may have such views. I mean, how would you get someone like me over the line? I love the whole idea of trading.
Yeah.
And I think another thing again is for me to do it, I have to give it the time.
Yes.
Because of my approach to things, is I've got to give it the time.
So are you risk averse, Chiz? Are you kind of?
No, I'm absolutely not risk averse.
Okay. No, I was just trying to see you on your profile.
It's my field, but I don't know it well enough. And I think it's probably a lack of education on my part, education or a lack of not knowing how to trade.
Right. Okay. So let me
how
see.
would you get someone like me over the line to say, give it a shot?
Good question. I would re-emphasize that you are in control of how much money you apply behind the trade. It's your choice, first of all. The market is, another thing I would say is that the market is not for you and the market is not against you. It's neutral. It's going to do whatever it's going to do, and our results as a trader is a reflection of ourselves.
Actions we take.
Yes, that's correct.
Interesting.
Yeah. The results that we achieve in the marketplace is a reflection of our own mindset. It's a reflection of our own beliefs. It's a reflection of our own weaknesses, our own strengths, our own fallibilities. It's literally our results are a reflection of ourselves because the market doesn't know me. The market doesn't like me. The market doesn't dislike me. It just is.
It's neutral.
It's completely neutral. It's the most neutral thing that there is. I think it's part of the reason why we love it, because there's no racial bias, there's no gender bias, there's no bias at all. It just is. There's no prejudice. It's beautiful. There's no politics.
If only the world was like that in reality.
So, cheers. So what's really funny is that you're asking me what I would do to help somebody like you cross the line into trading, and in that description, I'm realizing why I love it. I'm realizing why I actually love it, because it doesn't know me.
Yes.
It can't look at me and say, "Oh, you're a black man, so you can't come here," or "You're a gay man, so you're not welcome in this society," or "You're old,
Or
so
you're a
this is not."
woman or something like that,
Or yeah, it
It
just doesn't
doesn't
know any
care.
of us. It doesn't. It's completely neutral.
Wow.
There's no politics. There's no backbiting. There's no discussions about you behind the scenes or in the canteen or what. There's just it's just you and market, and this is why I love it. It's just a true reflection of myself. I often say that trading will make you the best version of yourself because you have to be neutral towards the market, right? So that's how I would get someone across the line. It is a reflection, it's a true reflection of yourself. And the more you improve, the more you have a growth mindset, is the better you do as a trader. Of course, you
I,
need to
I,
be
I
able to.
love this, I love this, and I doubt. I mean, I've seen a couple of people advertising in trading. Come trade with me. I'll teach you this. I'll teach you that.
Yes.
But they never give you this really vital information to really understand what trading is, and making it sound as if they have to follow a certain strategy to be able to win on the market. But you've really given me an insight to make me feel a lot more comfortable. And it's all down to my own how I behave in the market that determines the outcome I get.
It's a mirror, Chiz, and this is the best way to say it. The markets are a mirror of yourself. And, if you're greedy, you'll get found out. If you're fearful, you'll get found out. If you're able to be balanced when you're winning, you will get found out. If you're able to be balanced when you're losing, you'll get found out. It's just a mirror. And I say
It
get found
almost
out.
sounds as though if you want a mentor or a coach, trade, and
Listen,
you get to find out.
that's such a great way to think about it.
Yes.
Such a great way to think about it.
If you want a mentor or a coach, trade, and then you get to see who you really are.
Man, cheers. I love that. I
I'll
love
give it
that.
to you for free. You can take it and patent it if you want.
Can I use that? Yeah?
You can
Can I use,
use it,
I'm
absolutely.
just making a note. I'm just writing down, making a note of that one.
No, definitely.
That is so
Interesting.
good. Yeah.
I never thought trading to be that way, which is really interesting and revealing. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you
No
for
problem.
sharing
Yeah,
that.
it really
Now,
is. Yeah.
yeah. Is there anything else you want to add on that point?
No, I think it's a really clever question. And yeah, that's the way that I would really introduce that to somebody who's not sure. It's like, it's just up to you. There's nothing to fear. If you learn the steps right, if you learn the procedures, if you treat the market with, like anything, you treat something with respect, you get respect back.
Yes.
So yeah, that's really all I would say on that point. But it's a really good one.
Amazing.
You made me think about that question. You really made. I like that one.
That's good. That's good. That's why we have these conversations.
Yeah,
Conversations about risk is always very exciting, especially when it's with someone like you who's really in the field doing it, in a
amazing. Yeah,
spectacular way.
yeah.
Let's move on to your own risk taking.
Oh wow.
So how do you typically decide if a risk is worth taking?
This is really good. So I always, in everything I do, it's so funny. I was talking with my son about this. My son Jude is my business partner.
Yes. Why
And
did you bring your son on board?
oh wow, okay. So I'm gonna remember the question. How do I think about
Yeah.
risk?
I'm
And then,
throwing it to you from different angles.
but that's
Yes.
fine. I'm gonna answer this question, which I think is good.
Yes.
How do I say this? I've always looked at my son from the day that he was born and invested in him as a project. So I've always just, with a deep hunger, wanted my son to be a better version of myself, just to be better than me, just be better than me in every way. I think your father is probably the only person who genuinely wants you to be better than them, and I've always lived that way with my son. I want him to be better than me. And he was deciding whether or not to go to university, whether or not to study in that avenue, and he decided against it. He said, "I'm going to just go to the University of Life. I'm going to make things work for myself." He was heavily involved in football at quite a high level, and that was one of his ambitions. And when football didn't work, we looked around at some things for him to do. And the idea was that he would just become a businessman, become an entrepreneur. So when he was 16, I taught him how to trade, and showed him the world of trading when he was 16. He couldn't do that until he was 18 and have his own live account. And eventually, being the kind of entrepreneurial type, he was the type that used to go to Costco, drag me to Costco, so that I could go to the sweets aisle, buy a whole load of sweets for him to sell to his friends at school.
Wow.
He was that guy. That was Jude, right? That was Jude. So when the football thing didn't work out, I knew he was business minded. He had learned how to trade from myself, and he was teaching some of his friends what I had taught him. He was basically doing the same thing as I was doing. In 2022, after I started the business in 2021, I was like, look, you're doing this upstairs, I'm doing this downstairs. Why don't we just get serious and do this together? And he agreed. Yeah, he said, all right, come on, let's make something of it. And we joined forces 2022. And having the speed and energy of youth with the kind of the wiliness and wisdom and experience of I don't want to say an older person, but of age, it's a great combination. Having that trust between two people who absolutely want the best for each other is a fantastic combination. Working in business with my son, who I've just got the best intentions for, I couldn't want for anything more. I think it's amazing. It really, really.
I must say, yeah, thank you for sharing that. That is really, revealing. Thank you so much. I must say, I have met Jude, and you rarely find a young man. How old is he now? 2021?
He's 22. He's going to be 23 in May.
Yes, so 21, I think, or 20 when I first met him, when we met, at the event in London.
Yeah.
It's rare to find a young man who is so clear on what his future is all about,
Oh, man.
and how he controls his destiny towards that future. Jude is very clear on that, and I can see that reflection of how you've trained him to become the man he is today, and he's going to go on to do some amazing things. And I love what you said there, for him to be a better version of himself, or better than you. And I think that's a good sign of a great father, a great parent, and great parenting. Because we live in a society where fathers are not valued.
Yeah.
But it's great to see how the result or the reward of your investment in your son is reflected
I appreciate
in what you were doing today. So really, really give good, big up to you, man.
I appreciate that so much. Cheers. And we had a conversation the other day, and I said to Jude, I said, you're my friend now, innit? It was that moment. It was that moment. It was so funny saying that. And he looked at me. He says, "Dad, no, you know what? Seriously, you're my best friend right now. It was a nice moment. But at the end of the day, we've got a lot to accomplish together. We're both hungry, and we carry that same level of hunger. Him with the youth, me with a bit more of the experience. But yeah, he's a great guy to be around. I hold him in very, very high regard. Cheers. I saw him. I,
So Jude, you know how I feel about you, man. You're a great guy. So a nice one. Yes, and I know he's also brought a few people on board. I think one of his friends is also in the company with you guys as well.
Yes, James is working with us
Yes.
on the sales side. Great guy.
Yes.
That age group is phenomenal, man. That age group is just they're really, really good, really great.
And
They've got so much to do.
how is it with young people? Obviously, they tend to be more of an active risk taker. Innovation tends to come from younger ones.
Yeah.
Is that something that you've observed and has played a part in elevation effects?
I find that young people can be. I don't know if the word is. I don't want to use the word scatty because that's not the right word, and I also don't want to use the word erratic. They are just happy to try this and try this and try this and go here and do this. Stay up late, wake up early. It's that vibrancy of youth. We've been there, Chiz. We've been there where we just we travel from one side of London, do this, travel back again. They just don't mind. They just don't mind it, and I think it's that energy that I love being around. In terms of risk, I think even at a young age, you can see some people's risk profile, whether they are risk averse, whether they are risk takers, whether they're somewhere in the middle. So even in a young person, you can see whether or not they're going to be large risk takers or not. I think that's developed quite early. You see the child walking on a brick wall and telling his mum, let go of my hand, I want to do it by myself. Now the mum knows the inherent danger of walking on a wall.
Yes.
Right. But the child is like adventurous enough. And I think you'll also see the same or a different child requesting for their parent to hold their hand while they walk on that brick wall. So I mean, you can tell the risk profile of children fairly early. But as for their energy, I love it. I love being around.
That's good, and that's the kind of vibe you need in your business to be able to make it thrive and reach the heights you want to.
Absolutely.
You want to achieve.
Absolutely. Right.
So, on in terms of your own personal risk taking, have you? Is there? I mean, risk is up and down.
Yeah.
Is there any risk you've taken that you've regretted?
That's a great question. I think you'd also ask how do I assess risk?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll answer
Yes.
those both together. I think that's
Yes, put them together because they all go together.
great questions. Really great questions. Cheers. I always start from the end, and I think that's the trader in me. I always start with what is the loss? What do I stand to lose here? I don't, and that's not risk averse. It's just an assessment of the loss first. What do I stand to lose? And am I prepared to lose that? If I decide that I'm prepared to lose this, whatever it might be, whether it's time, money, relationships, if I'm prepared to lose it for what the perceived reward is, then I'll take the risk. So for me, it always starts with an assessment of the loss. Now, some people will start with an assessment of the gain. What do I stand to gain without understanding the risk? If the risk for me is always smaller than the loss, then I'll take it. And there are even in trading, there are different ways to assess that risk. Some people even in trading take large risk for small gain. There's a strategy that will allow you to take large risk for consistent small gains. It's not the strategy that I want to take. So in my life, I am an assessment of the risk first, and then a dive if the reward seems great enough. And I think to answer your question, was there a risk that I took that I regretted? I sometimes wonder if leaving the big dollars of the city is a risk that I regret. I sometimes wonder. I don't think I regret. In fact, I don't regret it. I look back and with fondness of those days, walking around Bank, Moorgate, St. Paul's, Liverpool Street. I really, those are very, very fond memories for me. I assessed the risk that the reward of doing it on my own will be greater than the risk of staying. It's huge. Why are you psychoanalyzing me, bro? What's going on?
I like that you said that because, one thing that people don't know is that risk is heavily involved in psychoanalysis. If you want to become a better risk taker, then psychoanalysis plays a part. Interestingly, it's something I'm combining in my practice right now, which is psychoanalysis and risk. What the result will be eventually, I don't, it's going to be phenomenal.
You're so right.
Something you said earlier that brought my mind to, I don't know if you've read this book by Annie Dukes, Thinking in Bets.
No.
So it's she used to be a poker player, and she was a champion. She was a champion poker player, and wrote a fascinating book about decision making.
Oh, wow.
Making smarter decisions, using her poker experience.
Okay.
And everything she talked about in that book is risk taking. And she interestingly said something along the lines of what you said, that she thinks about the loss. She thinks about the loss before she thinks about the gain.
Always. It's the way I live my life. I start from the end. And work backwards, right? And I think this is a very I don't know how many of your listeners are listeners of faith, but that's not the point. I think God works like that. God starts with the end and works backwards from what he's already finished. So I think, I'm not calling myself godly but I think it's a God nature in us to start from the end and work backwards. So I definitely start with what I stand to lose, and then move forward to what the gain is. And if the perceived gain is greater than the potential loss, 2 or 3 times greater, 4 times greater, as I mentioned in the chart earlier, then I'll go ahead and take. And
that motivates you.
Yeah, highly motivated. And the bigger the reward, and this is for trading, the bigger the reward for the same amount of risk, the more likely I'm going to take that trade. The larger the reward gets for the risk, then the more likely I'm going to make that decision.
And that applies in all of our walks of life as well. If only people can actually think about the reward, and a lot of people do think about the rewards. People say, I have this big dream, or I have that big dream. or they want to achieve something phenomenal. So, you're able to perceive that, but then the action to achieve that big dream is not commensurate to
So
the activity you're trying to achieve. Why is that?
let me take this straight back to trading. This is such a good point, Cheers. It's the risk appetite that's inherent in the individual.
I was waiting for you to say that.
It's,
Use that
it's,
term,
it's
risk appetite.
It really is, because you can say that, hold on a second, if I leave my job, struggle for a little bit, I'm going to have to save for 2 years before I leave that job. And when I do leave, I'm going to have to cut my expenses down so that I can afford life for a little while whilst I build my business. But when I build my business, I'm going to have all of my time. I'm going to be able to work from here, there, and everywhere. I'll have less security, but I'll have my own. Like, that's a big dream. That reward for me personally was far greater than the risk of staying, or maybe some people say the risk of leaving, right? But if you're inherently risk averse and just can't bring yourself to chase the reward, even if the loss, or even if the reward is many times of magnitude greater than the risk, you'll just never step out. You'll just never.
Will
You'll just never
never,
step.
yes. And that's why a lot of people are in their comfort zone.
Yes, yeah, that's right. So yeah, the reason I don't think I've taken a risk that I regret, because I just enjoy the whole idea of risk. I've always been that way. I described my son to you as someone who used to drag me to Costco so he could buy the sweets. Equally, while I was in university, I was the guy that would go down into Hackney at the Burberry factory and buy all of the secondhand Burberry goods and bring them back to Southeast London where I was living and sell them to my friends. So I've always been that kind of risk taker. And yeah, if the reward is magnitudes of times greater than the loss, then I'll always take that decision.
Thank you for sharing that, because I think one thing that I want to take away from that, and also add a bit more to, is to let people know that regret is only what you think it is.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't see the lessons in what you call failure, then it's going to be a regret.
Absolutely.
Now, I don't see failure or regret, because if I'm holding on to something as a regret, it means I never move past it and I never learn the lessons.
Absolutely, Chiz. Absolutely.
So,
And I don't mind using the word failure either. I don't know about you, but I'm quite open and content to use the word failure, because there are many lessons that we learn from failure. People say it's not a failure, it's a lesson.
it's a lesson.
Call it one way or the other. I don't matter. My clothing business failed. It doesn't exist anymore. It failed to provide the life that I wanted it to provide for me and my family, and I had to pivot. But I learned huge amounts of lessons, which I'll take forward from that. So
Absolutely.
it's
Absolutely.
perspective, isn't it? It's perspective.
Yeah, I just remember that quote by a guy. I read his book, Dan Clark, and he's in that quote. He said, "Pain is a signal to grow, and not to. Pain is a signal to grow and not to suffer. And when you learn the lessons that pain teaches in life, there are no more regrets,
Oh, beautiful.
but lessons."
Beautiful.
Something like that. Yeah, something like that.
Beautiful,
And
beautiful.
that has stuck with me, to see failure as experiments in
Yes.
life
Or as
that
a
can
teacher.
help me to be better and
Yes.
achieve the success or growth I'm looking for.
Absolutely right, Cheers. Absolutely right. I love it. That's
Yeah.
so you are a risk taker. I mean, and it's not just because you're in the world of risk why you are a risk taker. I mean, where's your, I don't know, maybe.
Naturally, I'm just like you. Naturally, I mean, from a young age, I've been a risk taker. I mean, I only know what risk is. I only knew I was taking risk then because I'm in the world now. From a
Right.
young age, I used to do things like I used to sell pens. My dad used to come back home from work and he would bring back souvenirs like boxes of pen, and I'll take them to school and sell because he was just doing nothing at home. I'll sell them at school.
Clever.
Then I went into things like making fish tanks and selling them.
Yes.
I did a few things here and there, and I knew for a fact I wanted to be an entrepreneur and not to be under the umbrella of anyone as an employee. And that has been my life, and that's why As I set up my consultancy in 2018.
Yes.
And so far, I have been pushing that forward. So naturally, like you, I'm a risk taker, and I embrace risk in any shape, way, or form. But obviously, we all have our individual risk appetites.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. So knowing that risk appetite level and tolerance for whatever endeavor it is I go into, just
Yes.
like you, I look at what is the failure, what could be the failure, what's the reward. Is
Yeah.
the reward greater than the failure? Absolutely. If it's greater than the failure, then I'm doing it.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're the same thing, you know, you're still right. And speaking to that risk appetite, I was having a conversation with a great gentleman just last night who's been working for his company for 13 years. And he says, listen, if I can stay there for another 13 years, just take my money, I'm happy. And I said, Congratulations to you, bro. You take your money, you do what you're going to do." Because he was saying, and he said the same to me, "Congratulations to you. You be that entrepreneur. It's not my journey."
Yeah.
And you just have to shake someone's hand and say, we think differently, but God bless you, man. I wish you the very, 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 very best. He doesn't have the risk appetite for that. I don't have the risk appetite to not chase my biggest dreams. I think it's, for me, not chasing it is more of a risk than
Absolutely.
chasing it.
Yes. A threat to your future. Absolutely.
That's right.
Are there any risky moments that you particularly remember as being pivotal in your life or in business as an entrepreneur?
Cheers! I tell you, there are a few, but
Is there
I
one you
think
want to share?
the most entertaining one was my ski trip to Japan in
Tell us
2008.
about that. I don't even
Oh
ski.
wow. Oh wow. So I got a great friend of mine who had been inviting me on a ski trip for years and years and years. I go skiing with an African Caribbean community of skiers. My first experience on the slopes was probably 2 years before I actually went again, 3 years before I went again. It was miserable. I tried to snowboard. I didn't have the right clothing. I spent a whole afternoon on my butt, wet, cold. It was miserable. So he was inviting me to go skiing and skiing. And I said, I'm never going. I'm never doing that again. I'm not subjecting myself to that. But it so happened that one year, 2008, the ski club was going to Japan. And so I said, I'd been to Japan with work and I wanted to go back again. I said, I'll go. I'll go on a ski trip, but only because it's in Japan. But I set myself a target, and the target was to do a red run, which is a medium level of difficulty for someone that has never skied before. And we'll cut a long story short, Chiz.
Yeah.
But on the last day, no, halfway through the trip, I took the ski lift to us. This is important for risk, actually. This is really important for risk, because halfway through the trip, when I was still on a snowplow where you ski with the point, you're not parallel.
Yeah.
The snow, the points of your skis are together, so you can turn like this, right? It's a beginner's level. But I skied down to the ski lift and I went up on the chair and just kind of looked over at the slope as the chair went all the way up, up, up. I'm going up, up, up. The chair's going up, and I'm just looking over at the slope.
How high was it?
I could feel the lump in my throat as I was going up.
Look it down.
Yeah, looking down. But what would you call that? I'm just going to ask you the question. What would you call that in your line of work right now? There's a specific word. I think I know you might say the same thing. What would you call that?
Describe the activity again.
So I was this is midway through the week. I know what my target is. I want to do this slope at the end of the week. But in the middle of the week, I sat on the chair and just went all the way up. The chair went around and it came and it took me all the way back down. And I stayed on the chair, didn't get off. It was essentially what I would call that is a risk assessment, right? It was a risk. I was just looking at what the target was and assessing the risk.
Is that what you were looking at?
Right?
You're looking at the...
As I was going up the chair, for me, I
Yes.
looked back at that moment and said, even though you never knew it, that moment of going up the chair
The
was
height.
it was just your brain getting ready to meet the challenge that you had set for yourself. Okay, let me get to the end of the story. We got to the last day of the trip. My friend had been out skiing all day. And I said to him, bro, remember the challenge. I've got to do the red one. And he was like, Lee, man, they're closing the chairlift. I said, please don't let me miss my target. Just come with me. Let me do this. So we took the chairlift up at the end of the week, went all the way back up to the slope again. And this time we got off the chair. Now, this is where I believe that I understood myself as a risk taker, even if I had never understood it before. Cheers. I skied to the edge of the slope, went round out the chairlift. I skied to the edge of the slope. I looked over at that slope that I had to ski down. And my friend said that he wanted to laugh and cry at the same time, the way he saw my face. He said, Lee, if you go to the dictionary and look for the word fear, next to the word fear is a picture of your
Your
face
face.
at the moment when you looked over that slope. I was scared, Chiz. I was scared. I don't know what was scaring me, but I was scared. But all of a sudden, something just, it's like something clicked. It's like, I don't know what it was. It's like I turned into, I said, there's no way this thing's going to defeat me. And I jumped. It's like I jumped in the air and turned my skis into the slope. And I just started going. I just started skiing, Chiz. I just started skiing down this slope. Long story short, I fell over a few times, got up, fell over a few times, got up, fell over again, got up. And halfway down the slope, I arrived at familiar territory because I'd been skiing that part of the slope all
Right.
week, right? So at that part, I'm like, okay, I'm home and dry now because I've been skiing this all week. And when I reflect on that particular moment, 2008, I think that's when I knew that I was a risk taker. That's when I knew. I knew because what's the worst that I can? I'm going to fall over and hurt myself. The skis, the snow's soft. I'm going to get down to the bottom somewhere or another, whether I have to go on my bum, whether I
Yeah.
have to go down, whether they have to call someone to get me, I'm going to get home. So what's the worst that can happen? I might as well just try. And
And you did something you'd never done before.
the achievement of doing that and meeting my target that I set for myself at the beginning of the week is something I'll always remember, that moment of taking a risk. I will always remember that moment.
That's incredible. I've never skied before, and I've always said I would love to try it. So yes, so maybe one day you can
I'm going to
hear.
invite you
I'm going to
next
tell you the
time.
story.
I'm going to invite you. I'm going to invite you next time
I'd
we go.
love that. I'd love
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I'd love that. So, I mean, you've shared, skiing. It's not something you do a lot more regularly now.
I haven't skied for about 4 or 5 years actually. But I think, as business grows and progresses, I'm going to want to do a ski trip a year. So we'll see. We'll see. I've
That's
been
good.
really focused on growing the business, but maybe next year.
So, what are some of the things as a CEO that you do to keep you mentally focused and keep going and dealing with life every day and business every day?
Yeah, I like that question. So, golf is my real love and my real hobby. I just got back just last week from a trip to South Africa, which was a lifelong dream to play golf down there.
Amazing.
It really is the steam valve just to kind of unwind for a little while, chase improvement. Golf is one of those games where you can never fully reach the top. You're always like a dog chasing its tail. You nearly get there and you get better and better and faster, but you never quite grab your tail. So I play golf a lot. I'm watching my son Jude. I'm spoken about him a lot today, but I'm watching him go to the gym every day and getting bigger and bigger. And I'm saying, there's no way this guy's getting bigger than me. I'm like, there's no way this guy's gonna come. There's only space for one man in this house. Yeah. So I'm going to the gym a lot more. I'm going to
Oh,
the
that's
gym
good.
a lot more now. Cheers. And you know what? If not to get too personal, but I do love a nice little bath, just to relax, a little bit of music, and just chilling out and just
That's
wind
cool.
down. So, yeah,
Yeah, that's
golf,
really cool. That's really
golf,
cool.
gym, and relaxation are the main.
Have you ever, worked with a mentor or coach? I'm just trying to see, if there's any advice anyone has given to you that has stuck with you and kept you going.
The guy who I always look up to the most was the guy who gave me my break when I was working at Goldman Sachs. I will never forget him. I think about him, if not every day, then I think about him every week or every other day, because he was the one person that saw the hunger, man. He saw the hunger in my eyes. Sometimes I get emotional about it. He saw the hunger in my eyes and he said, I'm going to give this guy a chance. And I respect him very, very highly. He taught me a lot. If you've ever read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki,
Kiyosaki, yes.
I liken this guy to my rich dad because, my actual father, my biological father, has done very well for himself, coming from Jamaica with almost nothing. My dad showed me the shack that he lived at in Jamaica, compared to the really beautiful house that he lives in now. in Winchmore Hill. But other than my father, this guy is probably the number one mentor in my life and who I would call my rich dad. He taught me a lot, and I think one of the things he said was, if you're not moving forward, then you're actually moving backwards. He says change is going to happen with or without you. So it's better to be the change and to be at the front of the change rather than to be the lagger to the change. I mean, there's so many things he taught me. One time we had somebody highly influential lose our team. The type of influential individual in a team that you're like, how does the team survive without you? And the message he told me was, are we going to stop? Are we going to die? Are we going to fail? Are we going to give up because this individual has chosen to leave our team? No. We regalvanize, we find a solution, we go forward. This persistence. And he used to, he's a French guy. He used to say this French phrase. He says, les yeux de tigre. Yeah, it means
In the French accent.
yeah, les yeux de tigre. Yeah, he said. I asked him one time, why did you give me that chance? Why did you hire me? He says, Leon, it's because you have les yeux de tigre, and it means you've got the eye of the tiger. All right.
Ah, interesting.
That's the translation. So
Yes.
I learned so much from him about persistence, about not giving up, about being at the front of change, about being willing to move when others don't move. Lessons from him are just immeasurable. In fact, last thing I'll say about him, if I'm ever stuck, this is really cool. Have you ever read the book Think and Grow Rich
Yes.
by Napoleon Hill?
Napoleon Hill.
There's a part in that book where Napoleon Hill talks about his imaginary circle of people that he speaks to, like his advisor in the council. They're not there, but in his head, he's speaking to them as advisors, right? So whenever I get stuck, if I'm not able to reach him personally, I know he's very, very busy. So if I'm not able to reach him personally, and I do respect his time, so sometimes I just think to myself, what would he say? Like I have a conversation to say, what would he say in this moment in time? Or if I've got an important piece of work to do, then I do that piece of work as though I need to give it to him. Yeah, because he was the one that I looked up to. He was the one that I looked up to the most. So he's had a huge influence on my life, actually. He might
That's the power of visualization there, putting that into practice and using that to enable you to get through a challenge.
Absolutely.
How would you, do you think, because a lot of people are helpless. They don't know who to turn to for advice. And sometimes people don't read. They don't do research. What would you advise anyone who, what advice would you give to listeners to consider having a coach or investing in themselves to be able to achieve the growth or their dreams or purpose that they want to?
So, Chiz, such a great question. I'm realizing more and more the importance of coaching and mentoring. And even now within this business, we've got advisors, people that we speak to. I've actually just, one of my very close friends has agreed to do some coaching for us in terms of business coaching, just recently. And it cannot be underestimated, the value of somebody who has walked the path before you. It just can't be underestimated. It's almost like the same relationship as a father to a son. As I said, we've spoken a lot about my son Jude on this convo. I just lead him because I know the route. Now, not everything that I did was accurate or good, but at least I can point him and say, there's problems over there, there's difficulty over there. That's a trap. That path is clear over there. A mentor is almost like having a father, a mentor that really has got your best. If that mentor has really got your best interest at heart, it's like having a father. It's like that's the best way that I would describe it. It's like having a father on your side.
And that's important. Now, some mentors you will need to pay for.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people shy away from investing in a mentor. What would you say to them? Because I myself, I didn't have, like I always say to myself, I wish I had the relationship I have with my children. with my dad when I was growing up.
Amazing.
I didn't have that.
Amazing.
So
I
for
hear
me
you,
to
I
be
hear you.
doing what I'm doing today, I've had to invest
Yes.
in mentors. I've
Yes.
had to pay monthly, a
Yes.
year, a few months. Tried a few, some work, some didn't work. But one did really work, and I still thank this guy till today. His name is Martin. He was a phenomenal guy, and he really tapped into my brain and
Wow.
was able to see where I was where I wanted to go to and give me advice.
What's his number, man?
I'll give it to you offline.
Yeah, please do.
He's relocated to Egypt now. I mean, this guy, he's a thinker, and I'm a thinker as well. But he was able to see and give me guidance in the way to go.
Yes.
And like I said, people shy away from paying of a mentor. What would you say to them, really, to
So
get them to reconsider? Because a lot of people are just there and not moving forward, and time is passing by.
so I'm pausing because I want to emphasize the importance of this. Part of it is due to the size of people's wallets. Sometimes it's just not financially possible to invest in this because there are other perceived priorities. Okay, I get it. But what I would say is, please, and this is what I'm doing you heard me ask for this guy's number,
Yes.
right? What I'm doing is I'm making sure that a part of my monthly budget is for self-improvement. I've literally got a wallet as part of my banking app, which is called education. I can't remember the exact name, personal education or something like that, where I just put money into that, which is to pay for my own improvement. The only way, not the only way, but one of the fastest ways to improve is to ask somebody who's already walked the road ahead of you. And if at all that money can be found, if you've got the money and you're not using it, then I mean, I don't know what's wrong with you. Basically, that
Yes.
those people who've got the money and are not using it for self-improvement, well, those are not really the people we're talking to. Those of you that want to do it, but don't have the money, get to the point where it becomes part of your budget. Get to the point where it becomes self-improvement, and having somebody who's walked that path before you is invaluable. It's literally invaluable. And when I say invaluable, it means it doesn't matter how much you pay for it. If you find the right person, it's worth every single penny. Worth every penny.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And sometimes you may not, I mean, and not to get disappointed if you don't find the right person or someone is not working for you. But you just have to stay consistent and, look for the right person who can guide you.
And you know what as well, Chiz?
I support you in that message.
You know what as well? There's so much online. Like you can see, you should be able to see. Like, for example, if you're offering this service, all someone's got to do, Cheers, is go to your podcast and listen to how does this guy speak? How does this guy converse? What advice does this guy give out? What's he like around people? You've got content that people can listen to assess whether or not you are right for them. Other mentors, I am mentored, believe it or not, I'm mentored by people who I've never met. There's particular guys that I listen to on the internet. They've never met me. I've never met them. But any word that they say, whenever they pop up on my Instagram feed or whenever they come up on YouTube, I am like this, listening,
You
sometimes
listen.
with a notepad and pen.
Yes.
So there's enough free content as well as paid content. There's no excuses, essentially, is what I'm saying. There's no
Absolutely no excuses. I'm not going to say the name, but you know that finance channel I told you about on
Yes.
YouTube.
Yes.
I reached out to the guy who does all that documentary and connected with him. And I said to him, I would like to have a chat with you.
Listen, man.
I don't know this guy. He's in the US somewhere. And this is what I do. Like sometimes I listen to podcasts.
Yes.
And I love the message of the guest.
Yes.
And I've looked for them on LinkedIn or wherever, and I send them a message. You know, I've gotten responses back.
That's phenomenal, Cheers.
And build relationship with these people. I don't know them.
That's the way to do it, man.
But I learn from them.
Yes.
And like you said, yes, there's so much free content out there that you can use.
Yes.
And understand whether, okay, is this person's message going to work for me or not? and then
Absolutely,
use that to
absolutely.
chart your own course.
I mean, I don't know if it's right to say names, and maybe I don't know, but there are. I mean, I don't know. There's just loads of people that I listen to, and that I love. Many of them are famous and well known. Many of them
Yeah,
are less well known. There's no excuse, man.
absolutely no excuse. Now, for people who are as far, I mean, and first of all, let me thank you. You've been great. I love the way you answer questions. I love the message you're sharing. For people who want to trade,
Yeah.
what advice or tools or books or what would you recommend to them? Because some people say, yes, I would like to try this. I would like to trade. I want to have a side income and this and that. Why would you?
Chiz, I would suggest trading, particularly for individuals who are looking to build a second income source, and potentially with the hope that that second income source becomes their primary income source, right? So either one of those two. If you've got a job or you've got a business and you're hoping to build a second income stream, or maybe third, you may have other things going on, second or third income stream alongside what you're currently doing, with the hope that maybe one of these income streams, i.e., trading, could become the primary one. Those are the right individuals that should be looking at that should be looking at trading. What would I say? I would say come and have a chat with me. I don't know. It's so hard. It's not. I say come and have a chat. Um, there's a lot of content online, but unlike the mentors, you don't want to spend your time going through the vast volume of people who think they know what they're talking about trading, but are really pointing you in the wrong direction. So at least let me point you in the right. Let's have a conversation. I'd love to point you in the right direction of some good trading mentors. Of course, I'm one of those good trading mentors. Read books like Trading in the Zone, which was written by a guy called Mark Douglas. Phenomenal book. It's called Trading in the Zone. I don't even know if I have my copy here. I don't have my copy here in the office. Um, it's called Trading in the Zone. The author is Mark Douglas, and the book is designed purely to understand the psychological side of trading, how the mind works, and how to trade and think like a trader. This is step number one. So we ask all of our students to buy this book even before they start learning with us. That's the main thing that I would recommend. Open an account on TradingView. TradingView is a software that we use to view the charts, to view the movement of the price over time. So open an account on TradingView. You can get a free account without having to pay for it, and just have a play around, have a look around, see what you think is going to happen to the price of Apple stock, or to the price of EasyJet, or to Aramco, or whatever it might be. See what you think is going to happen to the price of gold, or the price of Brent crude oil, or Vodafone, and just have a look and have a little play around. But really, I'd say the number one thing is find yourself a good mentor. Find yourself a good mentor who knows what they're talking about. That's really, really key.
What's your thought on cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and all that?
Haha. I love the idea of cryptocurrency. I'm not heavily invested right now. I do, when I say not heavily invested, I do have some cryptocurrency holdings, but I'm not heavily invested. I think cryptocurrency and digital finance, that DeFi, is
Yeah.
the way forward. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. The world needs a new financial system, and as we moved from bartering of your loaves of bread for two of my chickens, yeah, to as we moved from that into the gold standard, and as we moved from the gold standard into a fiat currency via Bretton Woods in 1944, I think it was somewhere around there, if I remember correctly. We're moving into the new world and the new age of finance, which is cryptocurrency. So for anyone listening, it's going to happen. Get prepared, get read up, get studied, open your wallets, make sure your wallets are safe and secure. I was speaking to a lovely young lady last night at an event, and I said to her, listen, if we never meet again, I'm going to give you a word of advice. Open a Revolut account.
I was just thinking that.
Open
I
a
was just
Revolut
thinking
account.
that.
And from now until forever, out every single month, put in whatever you can, whatever proportion of your salary you think is right, £100, £500, whatever your wealth is, and buy a Bitcoin, buy a Bitcoin, buy a Bitcoin every single month without fail. Do it for now until forever.
I
Yeah.
think Revolut has made it easy. I actually listened to a podcast with the Revolut CEO, and he talked about some amazing things they're doing for to expand the bank to get into the US and things like that.
Yes.
They've made it easy to trade actually because you know, from what I see, you don't need a wallet if you have a Revolut account and
No.
you trade and you use that to trade.
Exactly right.
So
So
great advice there.
you just change the money from pounds into Bitcoin or Ripple or whatever cryptocurrency you prefer. Revolut's a great app. I love it. I used it in South Africa just last week. It's so cool, man. You just put your pounds in there, change it to rand, and pay from your phone, and it takes it out
Yes.
in rand, and with no exchange rate fees. It's brilliant app.
I
Brilliant.
use it as well, but you know, for business and personal. So great.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So what is next for Evolution FX?
Yeah,
What's
so
in the pipeline?
for elevation. So we are really focusing on marketing over the next 3 months. We're going to build a new client pipeline and a pipeline that feeds us continually. I think I would even go as far as saying it's somewhere where we've been traditionally weak. We've relied on word of mouth. We're doing a great job for people, and so they tell their friends. But we now need to become, I would say, industry recognized. Thank you for asking that question, because I've never said it to myself in that way. So I think the next thing for us for elevation is to become industry recognized, and that's what we're gonna target in 2025.
Amazing,
That's what we're
amazing. I
going
mean,
to
you guys are,
achieve.
I mean, I've been to your event. I've been to your event, and you guys are great. I think you have a great product there.
Thank you.
So absolutely, you know, making a name out there will be something that will take you to the next level.
Thank you so much, Chiz. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're really excited about what we're doing, what we're delivering for our clients, and it's time for more people to know about us now.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know you mentioned that earlier. Wouldn't mind mentioning it again, where people can find you if they want to get in touch with you and learn from you and trade with you.
Yeah,
Where can people find you? And
absolutely.
name some of the products you have already, because you do have a few things out there in terms of
Yeah.
training.
So I appreciate that. So our website is at elevationfx, all one word, elevationfx.net. And we've got three major products which we offer. The first is what we call a package product. It's our market mentorship. And that's for people who don't have a lot of time and who can't commit to the weekly lessons on our live mentorship. So the market mentorship is a package product. They take away the videos and they can watch through these videos all at their own pace if they can't attend a weekly session. So that's product number one. Product number two, which is the flagship product, is our live mentorship. And this is the one where students get the most out of. Now, the live mentorship is very similar to what we're doing right now. It's on a Zoom call, and I share my screen, and we go from the building blocks, literally from what is a candle, a little bit like you kind of saw a glimpse of one of the very, very early lessons in what is a candle, 5 pieces of information in every single candlestick. And we build. By week 3, students will have a repeatable strategy that they can use, or repeatable trading tactic that they can use by
To
week
trade live
to trade live. Yes, by
Wow.
week 3. Now it
by
doesn't
week 3.
by week 3. Yes.
Wow.
Now it doesn't mean that they are traders. It just means that if you see this, watch it again and again, and it works repeatedly. Not 100% of the time, but it works consistently. So we teach that by week 3, just so that people can get their feel, and if they want to play around and they can want to kind of exercise what they're learning, that very, very early on they can see that these skills work. Then by week 8, we're going to have another repeatable strategy that people are going to be able to use. So by very, very early on, people are able to practice the skills that we're showing them. So that's the market mentorship, which you can just take and learn by yourself. The live mentorship, and then for people who are a little bit more advanced, we've got what we call our funded mentorship, and that's the subscription model, where we do a Sunday night overview, Tuesday live trading, Thursday night clinic to answer questions, and we just spend a lot more time with those who are a little bit ahead of the journey than those who are learning for the first time. So 3 products: market mentorship, live mentorship, and our funded mentorship.
What's the funded mentorship?
What What is the
So
cost of?
what does it mean by funded mentorship?
Ah, good question. Good question. So, funded status, that's a really good question. I was speaking as though I'm using jargon as though everybody understand it. So, funded, there are now facilities in the trading world where people can purchase a trading facility of 100,000 or 200,000 pounds. So I can go to a company and say, hey, listen, I want to trade an account of 100,000 pounds. Here's 500 pounds for that account facility. Now, if I use that facility, it's not real money. I can't take that £100 and do anything with it. That's that 100,000 and do anything with it. But I can use it as a trading account. And any profit that's made on that trading account is paid out into my bank account in real cash. Yes.
Into
So
your bank account.
correct.
Now,
So
what about the money, the funded account itself with the 100,000 on it?
so that 100,000 funded account, it can be it will reset once you take a payout, and the payouts are always split 70-30 between yourself and the funded account provider, so they split the payouts. The funded account, once you take a payout, is reset. It goes back to zero, and then you start when it's zero being 100,000 or 200, whichever one you bought, and you start again. Take a drawdown, take a payout, it goes back to the starting amount. So there are ways to lose that account as well. If you lose a certain amount of that account, you can have that account withdrawn as well. So it's a whole industry. It's a whole industry surrounding this funded account status. And the reason why we've called it the funded mentorship is because by this stage, our students are either funded with these funded accounts or just at the edge of being funded with these accounts. So they're further ahead down the journey.
Thank you for sharing that. I think you've got quite a spread there in terms of offering. So
Yes.
anyone who's looking forward to trading or want to learn how to trade, absolutely, there is something there for anyone, depending on their risk appetite.
Absolutely.
And one thing that crossed my mind, as you were speaking there, is trading is almost like life itself, because we're making decisions every single day.
Absolutely right.
Yes.
100%.
But in order to make those, decisions effective, we need to learn.
Yes.
Yes. So just jumping the gun and just trying to do it without any lessons or learning, you're bound to make mistakes.
You're bound to make mistakes. And again, the market it's neutral, but it's brutal too. If you don't know what you're doing, it is indiscriminate. It will just take your money and say thanks very much and don't care.
Hit you up and speak you
Yeah,
up.
it's like I don't care who you are. You made a mistake. Thank you.
Yes.
Right? And equally, if you do things right, it will just feed you. It will just feed you. It will just feed you. So you got to learn the basics at the very, very, very least. You got to learn the basics at least.
I'm going to do something quite cheeky now because I've seen this guy all over the place on YouTube. Yeah. What's your thought on Greg Secco?
I knew you were going to say his name.
He's all over YouTube, and I keep clicking him off. I'm like, why are you on my page?
I knew you were going to say his name. I knew you were going to say his name. Let me put it like this.
He's popular for some reason.
I feel like this. He's clearly doing something right.
Okay.
Yeah? He's clearly doing something right. I just don't know his trading strategies well enough to say whether they're good or they're bad. I've seen some of them online, like he's got this new product that's coming out. Every time you see YouTube, is our new T-Wave product. I've seen it. I mean, I don't know if it really, I don't know. I don't know if it works. One thing I will give him full credit for is he is an excellent marketeer and an excellent business person.
I was just going to say that.
I'll give him that credit. He's done very, very well.
Yeah, people tend to... and maybe this is all about the psychology of trading or the psychology of life. People tend to gravitate towards people who show off a large house or show off a lifestyle to try. I mean, yes, it may work. It may be authentic. I mean, what's your thought on that?
Yeah,
it's not your approach.
So you're so good. I mean, you've really looked at the right questions, Chiz. When you open Instagram and see foreign exchange trading or see cryptocurrency trading, the image is
Ferrari
fancy jets, fast cars, nice watches, huge mansions. And it's really for most of us who are full-time traders, it's not the reality. It's not that it can't be, but it's not the reality. And so I don't want to present the image that this is all about fast cars, fancy watches, nice houses. Because for the majority of people that are going to be taught by me, that will not be the outcome that they achieve. And for most people, it's not the outcome that they want to achieve. They just want to have an extra £1,000 a month, an extra £2,000 a month. Maybe if they want to be trading, they want to make 2% per week. It's just like it's not the private jets is not the ultimate goal. So whilst I think it's good to be able to show these things occasionally, I don't want to build my business on that type of imagery. As I said, I'm much more likely to build my business on imagery of my wealth being a product of the amount of time I have. Yeah, I'm out playing golf. Yes, I was blessed enough to be in South Africa last week. Some months before that, I spent 6 weeks in America where I was just able to run and live my life and build my business while I was moving around 5 different states in America for 6 weeks. Before that, I was traveling elsewhere. I'd much rather build my imagery around freedom of time and freedom of movement rather than fancy jets and huge mansions, really.
And that's the best freedom to have, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah. It really dawned on me this week that, as I said earlier, my wealth is a product of the amount of time I have, and maybe I need to use more. Maybe I need to work harder. Am I saying I'm lazy? You're psychoanalyzing me, Chiz. Stop doing that.
It's risk a lot. It's risk analysis. It's risk analysis. No, man, it's been great. I've really, really enjoyed having this conversation with you on the Risk Champs podcast. I have one last question I usually ask every guest I have on this show.
Sure.
It's I call it the risk taker personality type question.
Yes.
I think you've kind of alluded to the answer already in our conversation.
Yes.
But I'll tell you what it is. So there are 5 types of risk takers.
Yes.
You've got the active risk taker,
Yes.
the passive risk taker.
Yes.
A passive risk taker is our risk averse people. The active risk taker is, yes, you're not afraid to take risk. And then you have the hybrid risk taker.
Okay.
Hybrid tends to float between active and passive. And then you have the material risk taker. They only take high net worth risks. And then you have the dynamic risk taker. And that's what you would call the Don, the master of all. Which one are you?
Oh, cheers. Oh, can you see me thinking about it? So
I can
I'm
see you scratching your head.
so this is what we're gonna do. Let's go by process of elimination.
Sure.
So I'm just not the whatever the boss, whatever the boss, the Don Dada is. What is the one?
The dynamic risk
The
taker.
dynamic risk taker. I'm gonna be humble enough. I'm gonna rule that one out. I'm not that
Okay.
one. Okay, so I'm gonna rule that one out. I'm also gonna rule out the passive risk taker.
Yeah.
I'm
So,
definitely not the passive
not
risk
that
taker.
one.
I'm going to rule out hybrid because I don't think there's a time when I'm passive. So I'm just not, I don't think I'm risk averse. Yeah. So
That leaves 2.
It
So that
leaves
leaves the
active.
active risk taker and the material risk taker.
tell me a little bit more about the material risk taker
So
because
the
I like
material
that
risk
one.
taker. So, in banking, we have, we actually use that term in banking, in finance, material
Yeah.
risk taker. So these are your, high value staff, like all the CEOs and, top people, top traders. Now, if you were to lose that one person, that can actually impact the bank negatively.
Ooh.
Yeah, because those ones, they are high net worth people. Their input in the bank or in trades create high results.
Right.
And in life, we have people who take high net worth risks. Elon Musk, for example, you know what he's doing with the whole SpaceX stuff and
Yes.
want to go to Mars and all that stuff.
Yes. Okay.
But then there are different measures of material risk takers. I mean, not everyone's an Elon Musk, but that's the material risk takers.
So, and what's the difference between Elon Musk and a dynamic risk taker? Who would be the dynamic risk taker? If Elon Musk is the dynamic risk taker, right?
I
Isn't
would
he?
say Elon Musk is dynamic.
Yes, he's a dynamic, like just the boss man.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna go for myself. I like the material risk taker. I'm gonna say I'm an active risk taker. I'm an active risk taker with a little bit of material in there, with a little bit of. So if
I
there was a
like the way
hybrid,
you did it. I like the way
yeah.
you're creating something special there. I like that. No, that's really
Yes.
good.
So if there was one that was a hybrid between active
Active
and
and
material, then
yes,
that would be me.
yes.
That would be me. I'm
No,
active, but I'm not quite. I think it's a function of age as well. I think it's a function of age. You kind of the risk profile kind of tapers as you get a little bit older. So I would say I'm definitely an active risk taker with elements of
of
the
material
material risk
risk
taker.
taker.
Yeah, that's what I would
I
say. I don't know.
love that.
Would you judge me? Would you judge that correctly? What would you
I
say?
would say so. Absolutely. I mean, come on, man. The way you've actually, you know, grown from your time in investment banking,
Yes.
I mean, the whole trading field is an element of material risk taking
Yeah, and
because it's a field of uncertainty for most people. And I always say uncertainty is not bad
correct,
because
correct.
in uncertainty, you have rewards
Yes,
or losses.
yes,
But
yes, yes,
being able to go into that state of uncertainty, man,
yes.
you've got to be a material risk taker to do that.
And the thing is, I want to call myself a material risk taker without kind of because that's the one I want to go for. I
Yes.
remember at one more scenario where at the early stages of the business, we were looking at our cash flow and we're like, we've either got to go down this route or we've got to go down this route. This route's the safe route. This route is the double down. And even within the business, me and Jude always look to each other and we say, we know our mode. We are always going to double down. We're going to double the bet. So there is a large amount. There is a large amount. We used that some of the early days of cash flow. We said we either need to build ourselves a website, which is going to act as a portal for people to see us, or we need to pay ourselves, right? It was somewhere like that, somewhere along
Yes.
one of
Yes.
those kind of dilemmas. We need to pay ourselves this money and just live off this money and just accept that we're going to be all right for this month, or we need to go and invest in a website and do something. And we took that money and we put
Which is what you're doing now.
right, and we put it in the website and we say, okay, no, man, we're not going to just take this money and live. We're going to go and double. We're always going to go and double down. And when we come to these challenges, Jude and myself, we always look at each other and say, well, what are we going to do? And the answer is invariably, well, we're going to double down. So there is that element of material risk. I'm changing. I'm a material risk.
You've switched now. You switched from active risk taker to material risk taker. But that's a good place to be. That's a good
Yeah,
place to
yeah,
be.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It means fear or uncertainty doesn't hold you back as well. And that's great.
No, it doesn't. No, I'm not really worried. I just cheers. Let me say one more thing. This
Yes,
conversation is
please.
so
Yes.
good. It's just conversation is so good. I never imagined that we were going to be talking for this long.
Thank you.
I am a man of faith. I'm a huge believer in God. Not everybody is, but this is my journey. And so a part of my risk-taking appetite is that, you know what? I've got God on my side. So what can go wrong? Really
Yes.
and truly. What have I got to worry about? So if you really believe in what you say you believe in, if you really read the Bible and you're a Christian and you believe that the word of God is true, then what are you worried about? This is what feeds into my risk
What is
taking.
there to fear?
What is there to worry about? Like my dad owns the earth, right?
Exactly.
So so
I love that.
it's part of how I think. It's part of how
I love what you did there, because a lot of people, who are successful do not give credit where credit is due and do not give credit to a creator, to a higher being, and I'm a man of faith as well. And that is something that directs my move in life or where I go in life, because I have to see that my purpose aligns with the purpose of the creator. Because if it's not aligned, then that means I'm on the other side, the dark side, and I don't want to be there. Because like you said, the creator, he owns the earth. So my father owns the earth, so the whole universe. So what should I fear? Absolutely, absolutely.
if you needed anything, I'm sure you could go, or like if you could go to your father, or if your children need anything, they've got absolute security that they can come to you and say, "Hey, Dad, I'm in a little bit of need right now. Can you help me out here? Dad, can I borrow 100 quid? Dad, can you fill my car with petrol. Dad, can you cover my shopping this week? Whatever it is, it doesn't matter what the question is. Dad,
You'll do it.
I need some advice, whatever it might be, because they have got that relationship with you. And that's what I think about with my Heavenly Father, is that I've absolutely have got nothing to worry about. No matter what it looks like, is, my dad owns the earth, man. I'm cool. I'm good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's fantastic. Leon, it's been a wonderful episode on this podcast. Thank you so much for spending the time to share with us what you do, and you shared a lot of tips on how people can be more successful, not just in trading but in life overall. And everybody, I mean, people want to win.
Yes,
People want to win.
Yes,
you know, and it's not all the time that you have people who share secrets about success. And really, there are no secrets. It's just, what we do. People can look at your example and then copy, or maybe, adapt it to theirs.
Absolutely
and
right,
win.
man. Absolutely right. It's been a great pleasure being with you, Chiz. I really enjoyed it. I didn't think we'd be talking for an hour and a half. But
I didn't think so,
But it's been absolutely brilliant, and thank you very much for inviting me on your podcast. I wish you and the podcast and all of your viewers every success in the future.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and we're going to make sure we get a lot of people get eyes on these and ears on these, so they can get to know more about you and what you do.
Amazing, brother. All the very best, and we'll catch up again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Take care, bro. All right, take care.
Good.
Bye.
The Risk Times Podcast.